We are rapidly approaching the start of the 2017 Texas high school football season.
I wish it was more rapid.
I think you're right. Hope springs eternal all around the Lone Star State, and one place that they've got a lot of hope and things feel like things are trending in the right direction is over yonder. Max, I think I'm pointing in the right direction.
That is the right direction. That is to the west.
To Fort Worth.
Yes.
At Fort Worth, Nolan Catholic, the Vikings, in their second season under their head coach, David Beaudin. We are joined by Coach David Beaudin right now. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing awesome, guys. I'm doing great. Thank you for having a guy who's a dumb Yankee on here, and I appreciate that.
Listen,
and I also
you're good.
Yeah,
you're a Red Sox fan.
Yes, sir. I'd actually, I prefer the phrase. I can live with the dumb part, and I've embraced that. But it would be better if it was a dumb Red Sox or something like that. But
you'll be all right. Mike
yes,
Kramer, our former senior writer, used to call me a Yankee every single day for a solid 5-6 years. You get over it. It's fine. They just have to live with you because you won't go away. Now, more importantly, I'm just going to hijack this interview, Greg. I'm sorry. How about that Chris Sale start last night? Was that awesome or what?
Yes, sir. Fired up about it. I'm telling you what. So, yes, sir. So
there he goes, David Beaudin, head coach of the Fort Worth Nolan Vikings. Thanks for joining us, Coach. Appreciate you. Listen, okay, all right. So thank you for hijacking the interview,
no
Max.
problem.
Appreciate it.
We're gonna talk about the important things.
There you go. Let's get to the important things. Coach Beaudin, entering your second season there at Nolan, you guys. I know that's a program with high expectations. This is a team that's got 7 titles since 2004. When you made the move, I know that you had to know about those expectations, and I imagine that had to be a big part of your decision to go there.
Without a doubt. I mean, I every single day I realize and acknowledge that I'm privileged to be here because of those things. Coach Beaudin and his staff, for what I know of them, not only they're great coaches but great men, and so obviously built this thing up here, and so it's a great tradition. But really, I'm came up here excited to impact young people and influence young men, and be around a place that has a strong. They live their strong Catholic faith, and something that they're proud of, and so to just have an impact on these young men, not just on the football field, but we're constantly preaching about being champions on the field, but also being champions in life, and so I'm just blessed to be a small part of that, to be honest with you, and so I consider myself really lucky.
Last year, you made the move from down the San Antonio area at St. Mary's, where you had tremendous success, up to Nolan. And I think that one thing people may not necessarily realize is that those are 2 different leagues. Mm-hmm. You did change leagues there as you move from SPC to TAPS. Did you notice something there? Did you notice a transition in that regard?
Without a doubt, I think it's twofold. One, just transitioning to TAPS is a lot stronger, but also following this district in particular, and just how strong it's gotten, not just in the last 5-10 years, but my goodness, over the last 3 years, just how strong, week in and week out, you see upwards of, possibly 12 division players on the field at one time, and I'm not so sure it was like that 5-10 years ago, and so it's it challenges us, and that's what we love about it. Keeps us getting up and every day and getting after it. So we're I consider myself lucky.
I'm sure that last year going 3-8 is probably not what you had in mind and what you would draw up if you had your choice. But one of the things that I think is so remarkable about that team last year is that you guys were so young. I mean, of the 83 guys on your roster, just 12 were seniors. How much do you think the youth played in last year, and how much of that how much of maybe last year's struggles throughout the season do you chalk up to just being a team full of sophomores and juniors?
Sure. I'd like to look at the positive side of that, and really, we don't want to make excuses and struggle. We had our challenges. I think a lot had to do with just guys buying in, and to our seniors' credit, the outgoing seniors, they made a decision about midway through the year to buy in and get the other guys to rally around it as well, and that made a huge difference. We saw some growth, not only on the field but off it, and I was really proud of those guys and continue to be proud of those guys. And so we had a big win against Bishop Lynch late in the year, who ended up they went on and won it, and then we stuck into the playoffs. Had a few key guys go down during the game. We were up 22-0, and end up losing on a field goal at the end, and that's that's on me and our coaching staff to prep those guys and build some depth. So now, not only was it youth, but really just a lot of inexperience, and so we got to get those guys ready. So when their name's called, they're ready to go. And so we're working on that currently, and getting better and better every day.
We're talking with David Beaudin, the head coach of the Fort Worth Nolan Catholic Vikings here on DCTF Live. Get involved in the conversation, hashtag DCTF Live. Coach, you brought up the loss to Brownsville St. Joseph, a real tight game there at the end, and really that was the story of down the stretch. You look at you guys, the 3 losses you guys have down the road, and again, I know you're not making excuses, but you lose Trinity TCA Addison by 5. You lose to Argyle Liberty Christian by 2, and then you lose to St. Joseph by 3. So how do you approach that with this team? How do you go to these guys and say, listen, this is how close we are. We're within 10 points of winning against 3 really good teams. How do you approach that going into the offseason?
Well, it was a learning experience for us and for all our guys, and really what we do is use those things to motivate our guys every day. I mean, as we all know, and it may seem cliche, but at the root of it, there's some truth to it. And every little thing we do, that could be the difference in that fourth quarter. That could be the difference of us kicking that winning field goal as opposed to them. And so our guys know that. They know that, to attack every single day, everything we do, whether it's in the classroom, the field, in the community. I mean, we just want to attack it with vigor and enthusiasm. And I love it. We've coached, what we've done is, as we coach everything, and I mean everything. Our staff, I'm lucky to have an amazing group of guys. I work with great administration, amazing teachers, and that's what we are. As coaches, that's our biggest thing. We say all the time that being an extension of the classroom is not even a strong enough term. It's one and the same, and so we're teaching everything, whether that's body language. We had some guys walk into the weight room, early on, and this is really a true first off season. And, guys kind of just moseying in there with their heads down, and, we're jumping around, high-fiving guys. And then they're starting, they thought we were a little nuts at first and probably still do. But we made guys and showed guys that we've got to attack things with enthusiasm. And they've really bought into that. This offseason, you could just see a change in demeanor. And I think that's going to be a big difference maker for us. So I'm really excited and really fired up about it.
Another good reason for you to be excited is that you do bring back your outstanding quarterback, Luke Macias, who was he dazzled as a sophomore. The thing that strikes me about him as you bring him back is that this is a guy who makes great decisions and who takes care of the football. And for a young quarterback. And I know you're an offensive guy, but for a young quarterback, I imagine you're just looking at them and they're like, we'll figure everything else out. As long as you take care of the football, that'll be great. And so what can you tell us about your outstanding quarterback?
There's no doubt. The part that he's bought into, he was young in the face, and so physically needed to mature a little bit, and that's completely out of his control. So, controlling the things he can, and that he attacks preparation. He takes that part extremely serious. So he's really just having a coach on the field, a guy who you're right. He makes him, there's things he does out there where it's one of those no, yes, great job, and I'm on the sideline. So he really sees things early, and that's credit to him and the time and the effort he puts into those things. And so, as a coaching staff, it's great to look to a guy like that, obviously at the quarterback position, where other guys can follow suit, and we want to make sure that we've got some guys going on to play. That are going to play at a high level. We want to make sure we take care of those guys, but that's the easy part. It's really trying to build our depth and in knowing that their name can get called anytime. So we want to highlight those guys, whether it's a scout team guy of the week or things like that, where we're trying to get creative. We meet as staff all the time to so it's not just coach speak. It's things that make sure we recognize those guys, and everybody has a role and how important those things are. And so that's kind of the phase we're in right now. Showing those guys, not just telling them how important that is.
I want to ask you also about your defense. The word that you always hear about the defense that you want to play is swarming. You want to fly to the football. You want to get there and have everybody making the play, not just one guy. How do you instill that? And how much will having an entire year under your belt kind of benefit your defense next year?
Sure. Well, that goes back to that enthusiasm, right? And attacking everything we do. I mean, we meet fast. I tell the kids all the time. My wife was a huge football fan, who's a huge supporter. I mean, we compete at everything. Let's say, if we have a bowl of cereal, who's going to finish first? Her and I. And the kids laugh, but they know that everything we're doing is a competition, and we're flying around and attacking it. And I think, that energy, you can see it now in the weight room. You can see it around the halls, and I think there's a huge carryover effect. And again, it goes back to coaching everything, coaching body language. We had a young man who kind of, he didn't get excited when he made a play. He's one of the guys to celebrate success. So we made him just simply fist pump. And then all of a sudden that turns into it seems silly again, but all of a sudden it turns into a guy who's getting excited. And then that's infectious. That energy is infectious. That positivity is infectious. And that's what we're trying to create. And we've got it. We've got some, you mentioned Luke Macias and in defense, Nana Safa-Mensah, who's got, a bunch of offers right now. And another guy who's a sophomore who, a leader, and really these kids are really good football players. But I'm telling you, I'm around some great kids, and that's been the one constant. So I really consider myself blessed.
We're talking with David Beaudin. Thank you, David Beaudin, the head coach of the Fort Worth Nolan Catholic Vikings here on DCTF Live. Get involved in the conversation. #DCTF Live. I made that mistake because I got one last question for Coach Beaudin. Coach, you're from Massachusetts. Yeah. You're the pride of Methuen. Is that right?
Methuen, yes, sir.
Methuen.
Yes, sir. Home of the Rangers. You
were a Methuen Ranger. In fact, you were a superstar at Methuen High School in Massachusetts. And so I want you to compare and contrast Massachusetts high school football with Texas high school football. The floor is yours, sir.
Well, it's night and day. Well, I will tell you this. There's one really special thing about Massachusetts high school football, and that's one thing they figured out, and that's on Thanksgiving. They have Thanksgiving football have some traditions that run over 100 years up there, and they'll play each morning, and there's some fierce rivalries and family rivalries, and so they've got that part figured out, but it's tough to train out there in 2 feet of snow. So.
Yeah, I can certainly imagine. I do not envy that. He is Coach David Beaudin, the head coach of the Fort Worth Nolan Catholic Vikings. Follow him on Twitter at Coach Beaudin, Beaudin. Coach, appreciate your time. Enjoy the offseason. Maybe get a break here and there, and best of luck down the road.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys, and really thank you all for all you do for Texas high school football and the young men that represent it. Do an awesome job, and we appreciate it.
Absolutely. There he goes, David Beaudin, the head coach, the Nolan Catholic High School Vikings. I'm reading. This is 100% true. Mm-hmm. First of all, he does spell his name a little. It's not it's right. Beaudin, but it's Beaudin. Got it.
Right.
But then I'm looking at Methuen, and I'm trying to figure out in my brain. My brain's going 2 different directions, and so then I have to say his name again, which is already a little bit weird. I'm like, David.
Did not go so well for you.
Yeah, he was.
Now I'm realizing the one question we should have asked.
Oh God.
Who's the fastest cereal eater in the Beaudin household?
We'll have to have him on again.
We'll have to have him on again.
We'll have to see if he's got the
or have his wife on, and because I'm guessing the story's a little different on both sides.
Shoot me an email, Mrs. Beaudin. Let's
tweet. I saw she's on Twitter.
Tweet. Yeah,
she's tweeting about the show.
Tweet me. Yeah. Tweet me and tell me who the fastest cereal eater in the Beaudin household is. We will report. Yeah. We report the facts here on DCTF. So our thanks to Coach David Beaudin of the Nolan Catholic Vikings for joining us. And